from being ignored in the draft, to silencing one of the most iconic arenas in the NBA with a half-court buzzer beater. What Brandin Podziemski did against the Lakers wasn't just spectacular. It was symbolic. It was the kind of moment that changes how franchises perceive, and more than that, it changes how the future is envisioned. If you haven't paid attention to this kid yet, you're about to understand why he might be the key to keeping the Warriors dynasty alive, even after Curry. And the scariest part? This might just be the beginning. If you truly love basketball, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Here, we don't just bring you the highlights. We dive into the stories, understand the whys, connect the dots. And when you subscribe, you become part of a select group of fans who don't settle for surface-level takes. You become part of the crew that sees the game with depth and vision. You don't just read the headlines. You get to the soul of the game. To understand Podziemski's impact, we need to go back in time. In 2018, the Warriors had their backs against the wall. Down 3-2 to the Houston Rockets. Many declared the golden era over. The dynasty is dead, they said. Harden's ISO ball cracked the code, others claimed. The vibe was that the party was over. But some people were paying attention to something else. To something stats couldn't quite capture. That winning DNA. That instinct only the great ones have. And that's exactly what emerged in Games 6 and 7. The Warriors turned the series around. And while Houston collapsed with 27 consecutive missed three-pointers, the Warriors simply reminded everyone who they were. It wasn't the end. It was a message. The basketball gods don't reward shortcuts. They reward identity, consistency, and cold-blooded execution. Years later, the story seemed to repeat, but this time with a different name at the center, Andrew Wiggins. In 2020, he was a punchline. Nick Wright said it plainly. Andrew Wiggins is a bad player. It's over for the Warriors. We'll never see Steph in the finals again. And once again, most people believed it. But those paying close attention knew Wiggins still had plenty to offer. And in 2022, he didn't just silence the critics. He exploded in the finals, locking up Luka Doncic, soaring for monstrous dunks, and becoming one of the key pieces in the championship run. It was his redemption. And the pattern was clear. The Warriors saw value where others only saw failure. And that exact pattern brings us to Podziemski. The kid out of Santa Clara arrived as a gamble, a name barely mentioned in major discussions. But what he's delivering is simply impossible to ignore. Against the Lakers, it wasn't just the 8 three-pointers. It was the range, the confidence, the rhythm, the composure, and of course that half-court buzzer beater. That wasn't just a magical moment. It was a statement. And the most amazing thing is, this isn't just about shooting. Podz has a basketball IQ that jumps off the screen. He positions himself like a veteran. He fights for rebounds like a power forward. He distributes the ball with surgical vision. At just 22 years old, he plays like he's had a decade of NBA experience. And that maturity isn't a coincidence. It comes from study, from absorbing the system, from adapting to a style that demands more than just talent. It demands brains. And he's got it. Podziemski isn't just another good young player. He's the embodiment of what the Warriors have been trying to build for years. The bridge between the now and the next. Many laugh when the franchise talked about 2 timelines. Many said it was impossible to balance a veteran core with the development of youth. But here he is, the living bridge between Steph Curry and what comes after. The gamble that's paying off. The confirmation that the project is still alive. And if you like stats, here's one that says more than it seems. Podz is the second youngest player in Warriors history to hit 7 three-pointers in a game. The only one younger? Stephen Curry back in 2010. That's not just a stat. That's a symbolic connection. It's the cycle repeating. It's the new meeting the legacy. But what impresses me most is the pace of his development. As a rookie, he already led the league in charges drawn. That shows effort, awareness, courage. And now, in his second year, he's become a true offensive threat. He's not just functional, he's decisive. And that says a lot about him. But it says even more about the Warriors system, an organization that, despite criticism, continues to discover and shape talent with frightening consistency. The game against the Lakers was an outlier. It was a snapshot of a process. It was a reflection of everything that's been built since the day he was drafted. And the best part, there's so much more to come. Podziemski is just getting started, and what we're seeing now might only be the surface of what he'll become. So, to those still doubting, still thinking he's just a phase, just hype, I say this: be careful, because you might be the one who looks back 2 years from now and says, how did I not see this coming? The signs are all there. You just have to pay attention. And no, I'm not saying he's a new Klay Thompson. I'm saying he might be something even rarer. Someone who doesn't imitate, doesn't replicate. Someone who creates his own path. And that should terrify the rest of the league. Because when a player with this mindset, this talent, and this energy steps into a system as solid as the Warriors, the impact is inevitable. If you enjoyed this breakdown, drop a comment with your thoughts. Podziemski's story is just one chapter. And if you want to follow this book as it's being written, you already know what to do. Kevin Durant may have played his final game in a Phoenix Suns jersey, and he might not even realize it yet. What seemed like just another ankle sprain, one among many this season, may have been a trigger for a seismic shift in the NBA landscape. Because what looked like a minor physical setback is starting to feel more like the end of an era, and maybe the beginning of another, one that might involve a very familiar name, the Golden State Warriors. But hold on, because there's one key detail in all of this that could completely change the fate of Durant, the Suns, and even the history of the Warriors. And you're about to understand exactly what that is. Before we continue, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Here, we don't just bring you the news. We break down the behind the scenes, analyze the subtext, and anticipate the moves that could reshape the league. If you're a true NBA fan, this channel is the place to be. Don't waste time. This content is all-star level. Now, let's get straight to the point. The Suns are on the verge of elimination in the play-in. And with Durant sidelined, the team's chances of advancing drop drastically. This situation raises an unavoidable question, already echoing behind the scenes. Is it worth keeping KD on the roster with this current core? The answer, as harsh as it may sound, could be no. Not because of Durant's talent, but because the fit, the timing, and the results simply haven't delivered. And if the Suns are truly ready to pivot, there's one place with doors cracked open, waiting to welcome him back: the Golden State Warriors. Yes, you heard that right. Kevin Durant may be back on the Warriors' radar. And it all started with an innocent-sounding yet deeply telling comment made on Draymond Green's podcast. KD made it clear that his decision not to return last season was more about timing than lack of interest. That lit a spark in San Francisco. Because if Durant never closed the door, the Warriors might be ready to kick it wide open this offseason. Here's the central point. Time is ticking. Fast. For Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, the core that built a dynasty is inching toward the end. And if there's still a shot at another title, it might rest on one name: Kevin Wayne Durant. Of course, there are complications. Jimmy Butler has emerged as a potential trade target, and some projections even place him in a possible deal between the Suns and Warriors. But there's a problem. While Butler is undeniably elite, he doesn't quite fit Golden State's system. He's dominant, yes, but he comes with a set of demands, a strong personality, and a recent history of instability that could be problematic, especially in a locker room with such established pieces. Plus, there's another key point. Butler is redundant offensively. KD, on the other hand, already knows the system. He's been a warrior, and more than that, he was a cornerstone of 2 championships. No need to adjust. No need to build chemistry. It's like taking a puzzle piece that already fit perfectly and placing it right back where it belongs. But for that trade to happen, the Warriors would have to part with some valuable assets. Names like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and even Brandin Podziemski would be on the table. And that, of course, raises a dilemma, because Kuminga is rising fast. Moody has shown consistency, and Podz is emerging as one of the most promising young talents in the system. But with Curry at 36, you can't just think about tomorrow. Sometimes, sacrificing the future is the price of chasing a championship now. And from Phoenix's side, this trade starts to make a lot of sense. Butler might not be the best fit for a team heading into a potential rebuild, but if the Suns can land 2 or even 3 of these young Warriors prospects, they could jumpstart a new era. A core built around Kuminga, Moody, Podziemski, and maybe even a draft pick. Now that a much stronger foundation than rely on an aging Durant with recurring injuries. What's most fascinating is how cyclical this all feels. Durant left the Warriors in 2019 to prove he could win without the backing of a superstructure. But since then, success has slipped through his fingers. And now, with time running out and options narrowing, returning to the one place where everything clicked might not sound so bad anymore. Maybe it's actually the smartest move. And let's be honest, the Warriors need this too. As much as the young guys are developing, none of them today can carry a franchise the way Durant still can. KD, for all the criticism, remains one of 5 most impactful players in the league when healthy. And if he's willing to come back with a shifted mindset, returning to a system where he doesn't have to be the savior, but a powerful piece in a well-oiled machine, the sky's the limit. So here's the big question. Who's going to have the guts to make the first move? Will it be the Warriors, with their legacy on the line and urgency building? Or the Suns, looking to extract value before Durant's physical decline becomes irreversible? Either way, we're on the brink of one of the most symbolic trades in recent memory. Because this isn't just about players, it's about legacies, past decisions, redemption, and the eternal quest for one more ring. Now tell me in the comments, if you were the Warriors GM, would you trade Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski for Kevin Durant? Or would you hold on to the young core and bet on the future? I want to know what you'd do in their shoes. And if you liked this video, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Oh! And if you haven't seen the video where I break down why this might be the Warriors' last real shot with Steph Curry, click right here, because the window is closing faster than most people realize. See you there, because the NBA never sleeps, and neither do we.